no, another indie is about to fall prey to another one of those big studio deal scams. Ooh, oh, oh no, oh no. A major record label wants to sign an indie band and turn them into, oh, a boy band. Oh, oh, but still my heart. What am I to do? Oh, no, 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 no. A big giant publishing company wants to rid the world of indies, so it's buying up all the indie books and turning them into cookbooks? Or romance, Harlequin romance novels? Oh, man. Oh, oh my gosh. What can I do though? I am just, I'm just a humble YouTube personality. Wait, I know who this is a job for. This is a job for Mr. Go Indie Now. I am here, and I will help indies. I will help them do what they need to be done. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Sunday Funday. I am your host, Joe Compton, and I have created another new tag for everybody to enjoy. And this is, based upon the summertime is always a time when we get flooded with like superhero movies and big blockbuster movies, and you know, and it's also a time when you have all this, you have some days where you just want to kind of sit and read something apropos that all these movies are coming out and everything, and it lends ourselves to this great tag that we're about to do called "So You Want to Be a Superhero" tag. And this is our Sunday Funday tag, everybody. And being a superhero, there's much more involved than just being a superhero, having a superpower, being born from a super lineage, or being handed responsibility. There are characteristics that every superhero possesses, and these are some of the superheroes of novels that I've come across. And each characteristic, I'm going to name a different character in the novel, and the novel that character appears in. And this is a book tag, so definitely keep it toward books if you can. We'll just go down the list. I'll have the characteristics of what I think makes a good superhero in the YouTube description below. Feel free to add a characteristic if you feel like I'm missing something about a good superhero. But let's get started. And my first characteristic is integrity. And for this, I'm going to go right off the top and choose somebody who I think actually fits every single one of these categories. Character that I think embodies the modern day superhero to a T, maybe sans superpower, which we'll get to a little bit later. But I really think that he does have this incredible superpower. Um, I think intelligence is a underrated superpower, and moxie and what have you. But for integrity, I chose Atticus Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. To me, when I read this book for the first time and absorbed it, he was always the story of him defending Tom Robinson against all odds was always the story that stuck with me. It was the part that really stuck with me, and his fortitude and his integrity to just stick with it and not be swayed by the public demand and not be influenced by corruption or how other people feel. He had this deep integrity for the law, and he stuck by it. So Atticus Finch, huge influence on me. And like I said, he could fit every single one of these categories almost to a T. I could name Atticus Finch as the one that I would pick for every single one of these, but to make it more interesting, I didn't. That's my integrity pick. For intelligence, I went a different way. I went a different direction, and I picked Hannibal Lecter from Silence of the Lambs, or Hannibal. Thomas Harris's book. Really, the movie does a brilliant job of portraying the atmosphere in which is created by Clarice and Hannibal, and this intricate plot that's woven uh, inside of this interesting interaction. And for me, though, Hannibal really shines in the book a lot more than he does in the movie. There's little subtle things that you see that they didn't put in the movie uh, that really enhance this character's intelligence, and really show you what he's thinking and how he's going about being as diabolical as he is. And yes, he may be characterized as a villain and a super villain, and thus, a superhero may not be what you would say Hannibal Lecter is, but his intelligence is something I would harness from him and put into a superhero for sure. And I think that every superhero has to decide at this level, if they're this smart, they have to decide which direction they're going to go, and that's a moral dilemma that I think most superheroes come across. And Hannibal Lecter went one way, but I don't think there's anybody smarter in a book than Hannibal Lecter. I've not come across it, so that's my choice for intelligence. And you can see I'm not adhering to the superhero philosophy. I'm just naming within this particular characteristic what I feel is the best representative of that characteristic. Um, and I do stick to mostly heroes in this, but that was the one that really I couldn't think of any hero that I really enjoyed more than Hannibal Lecter's villainous persona in intelligence. So that's why I chose it. And in certain respects, in this book, he's kind of a weird anti-hero, So I think that qualified him even more so. He could be the greatest superhero if he went a certain direction. Of course, he doesn't go that direction and chooses evil, but you know, he does have those superhero moments, especially in Silence of the Lambs. So for Fortitude, I'm picking a character out of an indie book. Uh, and for those who are booktubers who have kind of garnered the mainstream a little bit, this is a great indie book to check out. It's a great indie series to check out. It's the trilogy of the Crown of Stones trilogy by C.L. Schneider. The Crown of Stones trilogy by C.L. Schneider. It's Magic Price, Magic Scars, and Magic Born. And the character is the lead protagonist, and that's Ian Troy. Ian is completely handcuffed and completely told he can't do something, and yet he sees all this stuff going around him, and it's torturing him, and he just stands his ground, and he decides to stand up and take on the challenge. And while I won't tell you how it goes, because it does go a certain way, Ian is one of those characters that just embodies fortitude. He absorbs it and takes it on, and you just feel like this character could punch a wall at any time, and instead he takes that energy and harnesses it. So Ian Troy is my choice for fortitude. For endurance, I actually had a hard time with this category, but ultimately I went kind of a real life superhero route. In fact, I did go a real life superhero route, and I went with the book called "I Never Had It Made," which is the autobiography of Mr. Jackie Robinson. Alfred Duckett did the ghostwriting for Jackie in this book, but this is really Jackie talking. And if you ever wanted to know what a hero was in our modern day society, um, get the audiobook of this book for sure, and definitely read it if you can't find the audiobook. But this is a marvel in how one man is just completely taken apart by society and tried to be brought down, and he just endures. He just fights through it, and he is an amazing hero to me personally. He was one of the first I've ever read about and absorbed in history that I really felt like, wow, I connected somewhat to him in certain aspects, which is weird because it's not even close to my life, and I have nothing comparable in terms of what he went through. But there's just this inherent it's this little touching of emotion, and kind of the wheels turning in your head, and how you kind of subdue and absorb that, and how you sit back and you can look at what's going on and be two steps ahead of it. And I think for me, that's been something that I focus on quite a bit. And there's a lot about breathing and meditating and understanding you as a person. And Jackie Robinson was somebody who really got that. And yet he was just this humble baseball player, but he was somebody who really understood his purpose. And I think that's really unique in a person. And morality, I am going the indie route again. And for booktubers, this is another great indie book I would definitely check out and review. It's called The Distant Sound of Violence by Jason Greensides. And I'm going to go with Nathan Doss as my morality pick. And the reason why I'm going with Nathan is because Nathan is faced constantly bombarded and shrilled because of who he is, and how people assume him and look at him. They just think he's a criminal. They just think he's kind of shady, and he's anything but. He really embodies the choice, making choices, and how that affects everybody else. And he's haunted by a certain choice that he makes, and thus that's where this book really shines. And I would definitely check it out if you get a chance. And he's my pick for morality. It's really hard to talk about these indie books because a lot of people haven't read them, and I don't want to give too much away. Hopefully, I'm not, but I definitely think that if you follow the attribute that I'm giving to each character within these indie books, you'll understand once you read them what I'm talking about more than me saying it right here. My sidekick is I had a lot of choices for this one. I had like 3 or 4 written down. I wrote a lot of notes about that, but my true I settled on one, and I could have gone Benedict. I could have gone Huck Finn. There's just so many, but for me, the true sidekick, the one that I really settled on, was Hassan from The Kite Runner, Khalid Hosseini's beautiful book. Hassan really embodies what a sidekick is. He lays his life on the line. He really puts himself out there for his friends. And I think, I could have gone Nathan Doss for this as well, but Hassan really was the kicker for me in terms of when I look at this category, I look at the person that I really felt like was really a true sidekick, and I think Hassan is the one that really embodies that for me. Superpower, again, another one I really had a hard time with, surprisingly, but ultimately I wanted to get this guy in there as well. And again, another anti-hero, another not so wonderful person. Maybe not. He's the protagonist, but in a kind of shady gray like manner, he's the protagonist. And that's Paul Atreides, or Mudib. I'm trying to say it right, but Paul Mudib from Dune. by Frank Herbert. I think his superpower, he's the exhibitor of superpower. I mean, he's the flashy intelligence, that super strength, that led him through the army, and led him to become a general, and command. And to me, that is the ultimate superpower. He had it. He had this encompassing manner, that led led him to assume the role of Messiah. And power corrupts, uh, but and with great responsibility, with great power comes great responsibility. And a lot can be argued about how Muhammad handled that. But he was that's the superpower that I think is most admirable in terms of a superhero. For fashion statements, yes, all superheroes make fashion statements, but there's nobody. There's two I want to mention in this cat. I'm going to mention two. I'm going to cheat a little bit here, and it's my tag, so I can cheat. I think. I know cheating's not exactly a superhero thing either, so I'm breaking the mold in two areas here. But for fashion statement, I couldn't choose between Jay Gatsby and Holly Golightly. Uh, you know, they're the staples of modern literature's fashion statements, aren't they not? I mean, Holly Golightly is breakfast that's from Breakfast at Tiffany's by Truman Capote, if anybody didn't know, and Jay Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald, the great Gatsby, I should say. you know, they're just everything about them is just flamboyant and out there. And you know, I would think that if Batman existed during Holly Golightly's time, she would have a lot to say about his costume and what he's wearing. And Jay Gatsby, of course, would help Superman form a better look overall, I think. So I go with those two as my fashion statements. For wit and charm, the next attribute, I would say that there's not many people more witty and charming. Again, another anti-hero, but really, he really becomes a true protagonist in every sense of the word, and he's got a cool job, that's kind of associated with antagonism and evil, in that he's basically a mobster. But Chili Palmer from Get Shorty's, that's Elmore Leonard's Get Shorty, to me is the sharpest wit I've ever read. Just he's three steps ahead of everybody, and he sees all the angles, and he plays the angle perfectly in every sense of the word. You know, when they try to set him up, he's on top of it, and he reverses the setup. It's really cool. He's very sharp, and that to me embodies wit and charm. Alter ego, I had to go with, again, another anti-hero, but in true fashion, he's really the hero of this novel. He is the protagonist because he's saving us from ourselves in a certain respect. And though the person who he's not a real person, he is and he isn't. I don't want to go too deep spoilers, but hopefully you know about this. But it's Tyler Durden from Fight Club. Chuck Palahniuk's Fight Club. Again, another book. I know you think a lot. You hear these names and stuff, and you hear the names of the books, and you think about the movie more than you do the book. But this is a really rich book. I mean, it's very difficult actually to get through because there's tons of slang, and there's tons of, like, it's just all over the place. It's like watching a subconscious thought, or reading a subconscious thought, but it is very strong in its message, and it's very powerful in developing the Tyler Durden brand, which is something that was really well done in the movie as well. But in this book, there's so much richness to more than you got from the movie. Believe me. And so he is the ultimate alter ego to me. Obviously, when you think of alter ego, you think of something you create to hide from. Tyler Durden is probably the polar opposite of that, but that is certainly alter ego in its finest form. And then finally, you got to go with inner good guy. Inner good guy is an attribute that I think most heroes possess when they don't think that they're good guys. And uh, for me, Guy Montag of Fahrenheit 451, Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451, embodies that notion. The choices that he makes and the awakening he goes through that shakes him and stirs him, I think really resonates with me. That book really shook me as a person, and it is it is a classic, no doubt, but it is so apropos of what's going on in our modern society. It's one of those books that I think at some point in the next couple of years, as we go through what we're going through in our lives, it's a book I will pick up again and read again because I think I've missed it, and it resonates with me strongly. Fahrenheit 451, Ray Bradbury. All right, so that is it. Integrity, intelligence, fortitude, endurance, morality, sidekick, superpower, fashion statement, wit and charm, alter ego, and inner good guy. Those are the things I think that make up a good superhero. And these are all novels that you can pick up at Amazon. I would definitely recommend checking them out if you've never read them. And I probably will leave all the links to the books there. So go check those out. I'm just going to tag anybody and anybody who wants to do this. Specific. I don't need to tag anybody specific. The more the merrier. Do it. And if you, like I said, if you want to add an attribute, I'll go back and edit my video and add your attribute if you add one. Or I'll do a special like side video or something with that attribute. But to me, that's what makes it a superhero. And just for reference, this week I have another video coming out. I have a new show that I'm debuting. It's actually an old show that I'm dusting off and putting back out there. So, but it's first time in video format. But anyway, so stay tuned for that. And remember, it's always time to go indie now. Even superheroes need to go indie now. All right, everybody, have a great one. Enjoy Sunday Funday.